Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Chris.
I'm but a humble servant of my listeners.
We've got Vince.
Let go, you blasted human octopus. That's my pizza-eating arm.
Great. And I'm Kia. Hello. Welcome to the show. Is that what a line from The Thing in what we read?
Yeah,
it sounds like The Thing. I don't remember.
Blue-eyed thing. That's right.
We're talking about the Fantastic Four today. Hello. Welcome. Some original old school Fantastic Four from the mid-'60s. We're talking about mid-'60s year-wise. Late 50s issue-wise. We're doing issues 57 through 60. That wasn't a confusing way to say that at all. Written by the original Stan Lee, Jack Kirby. And this is all about, why did we pick this? We just wanted to read some good stuff where Dr. Doom does some crazy shit.
We saw Dr. Doom in Infinity War comic a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And I'd been always heard that Dr. Doom was awesome, and I've not really ever seen it. And so I asked Chris and you to recommend some good Dr. Doom comics, and this is the one that came up. It's his first appearance from my favorite issue of last year, Fantastic Four Annual #3, where he attacks the Fantastic Four at their wedding. It's the first time we've seen him.
His first issue since? Oh, I see.
Yeah, in like a year.
So yeah, this is also very recently after they got married.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the first couple issues, or the first couple pages are kind of about Sue wishing they could go on a vacation at some point, or a honeymoon, I imagine. And it's not quite working out. That's not the very beginning, but it's in there somewhere.
No, they're going to parole hearing for the Wizard and Sandman.
Oh, it was a parole hearing. That's how they escaped from. Yeah,
they escaped during their parole hearing, which seems like. I mean, I guess they were being transported. Does this happen a lot, Chris, at the courthouse?
I've never seen it happen.
You've never seen supervillains escape during their parole hearings?
What about even like a team up between two villains who are having parole hearings at the same time? Does that ever happen?
I once saw somebody. Well, I didn't actually see it. I heard somebody slam their head into a wall to try to get the guards' attention.
That sounds like the Wizard. He's got like a helmety kind of thing that looks like he could do that. Wow, confirmation right here. Chris has fought the Wizard. Amazing. I'm glad you're here to talk about it. So they're hanging out at the courthouse while they escape. Sandman gets away, but the Wizard is still stuck there. And he's like, this is fine. This is all part of my plan. But it's not. That guy's still, he sucks. The Human Torch is not there because, what's he doing? He's looking for the Inhumans.
He's marrying all of the Inhumans, remember?
All of them?
That was our callback.
That's right, that line. He's marrying the Inhumans, yeah. But specifically Crystal from the Inhumans, the young, I don't know, what is she? The sister of... no, she's the sister of Medusa, right? The little sister?
Yes. So she's in the royal family.
Right, yeah.
Johnny has a crush on her. They fled their previous location to go to a different location, and he's trying to find them. And so Johnny is not with the team to go to this parole hearing.
Yeah, they're stuck in the negative zone, I guess. None of this about the Inhumans is important, but what is important is that he's away with Wyatt Wingfoot, right? How do we know? Is that his college roommate?
Yes.
Okay.
And She-Hulk's later boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I didn't know
right. I do remember that name. That's right.
Yeah, maybe they mentioned it in the Okay. So we also have the dog, Lockjaw. He's there with the Human Torch and Wyatt. Lockjaw's like teleporting them around, looking for the Inhumans. That's pretty much the last we have to talk about the Inhumans. They keep showing up throughout this whole thing, escaping from the negative zone. It's not important.
I'm sure our listeners, as watchers of the Inhumans television show, know all about all of this.
I actually did watch it from start to finish. It was like so cheesy and bad, and I like genuinely enjoyed it because of how cheesy it was. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody ever. So, what else? Silver Surfer. Meanwhile, go ahead.
No, I'm loving all of this though. Like right from the beginning. Like,
oh yeah, it's a joy to read.
Like, it's funny because, like, Ben Grimm is, like, smack-talking Reed the whole time. Like, in a way that I'm used to Ben and the Human Torch always bickering.
Yeah,
like,
which is a fun thing for the character. Like, he doesn't have Johnny, so he's just got to do it to his old buddy, you know?
That's what I wonder, though. Like, I've never read Fantastic Four like this. Like, where Ben is, like, Reed's college buddy, right? Historically in this universe? Or is that just in the Ultimate Universe? Mm-hmm. So they're the ones who know each other. And Ben just kind of got roped into this, and now he's a monster. And just the energy between him and Reed, I don't think I've seen them interact on this level ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they have a familiarity, but also, like, Ben kind of hates Reed. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he did turn into a giant ugly monster, whereas Reed just got married and it, like, has everything perfect and he's the smartest man in the world. So, you know, I feel like there's a lot to be a little jealous of there. I get it. But you know, they've got an interesting relationship, not as interesting as the other two that are coming up here, which I really like. First up, you got the Silver Surfer.
I do like, though, it's a good transition away from the Wizard and Sandman subplot, where Ben basically is like, you know, after we fought Galactus and Silver Surfer, these guys seem like jokes.
cut rate villains is what he called them. Like, I love this book has, like, I wasn't expecting it to break the fourth wall or talk to the audience as much as it does, and it gets a lot more in this. But it is very self-aware. It's like, we had our big Galactus story a year ago, and, like, we haven't been able to top it since then. And in fact, probably we shouldn't have been topping it. You know, let's do some, like, lower key stories. But this book has, like, an energy that I just wasn't expecting from this time. And we'll get more into it around, like, issue 59, the third issue of this. But man, I just love that, like, they're just saying, like, these villains sucked. Everybody we've been fighting sucks. This is dumb.
Well, it's also like, and Stan Lee is just kind of like getting really silly with it at this point. He's like, I've already invented all this crazy shit, and I'm genuinely having a good time. And he just, like, mashes it together, and of course, Jack Kirby just drawing all the crazy shit he can and forcing Stan Lee to describe it. It's beautiful.
It's not silly, like, in, like, a disdain for it, though. It's silly in, like, a having fun with it is the best way to say it. Like, they're having fun. This is a fun book.
It is.
And then immediately transitions into Silver Surfer getting a letter, and he's like, you're cordially invited to meet the royalty.
Hold on. Silver Surfer. We have to talk about. All right, we have a feature we're maybe trying for every episode of explain what the hell is going on or how we got here. The Silver Surfer is just cruising around Latveria, just doing what? That's my question for you. What the hell is Silver Surfer doing there? Because they don't tell us. He's just cruising around. You guys got an answer?
I've got a great no prize answer that only makes sense 25 years later.
Okay. Well, no, we should say, do you know what has happened historically with Silver Surfer at this point? Is that Galactus thing the last time we saw him?
Yes.
What happened at the end of that?
The last Silver Surfer storyline was in issue, what was it, 50 or 51 or whatever. The end of the Galactus storyline was Galactus is like, okay, well, I'm getting out of here. You know, you've chosen to side with the Fantastic Four and all these guys, so I'm taking away your ability to surf into space, so you're stuck on Earth now.
Okay, so he's stuck on Earth, and he's like, all right, I guess I'm just going to cruise around?
Yes,
like, that's it?
And so my theory for what he's doing there is we find out, like, in, I believe, the late 1980s, early 1990s, that Silver Sable runs a small country called Simcaria that borders Latveria, and she is Silver Sable, and so Silver Surfer naturally heard about her and was like, oh, Silver Woman, eh?
Okay.
So he's looking for Silver Sable when he gets this letter from Dr. Doom. That's
great. That makes total sense. Vince, you got a better answer than that?
Well, I was looking more from the opposite end of this story. The Silver Surfer's just cruising the planet, but somebody in Latveria has been waiting for Silver Surfer to stroll into their borders so they can shoot him this nice scroll.
I see. So it's more like a coincidence. We're just seeing this one.
I don't think it's a coincidence. I think they've been fucking waiting.
Well, I
get
that.
The Latvians have been waiting for a long time. There's somebody whose job is to just wait for that Silver Surfer.
Oh, you're talking about the man on the ground, the guy who is literally like standing there, just like he's been hired to watch out. Yeah. Poor guy.
His entire day job. I feel like they've got to work in shifts, but they started. I mean, it's very weird corporate structure. Like, what are we even fucking doing? Like, they're very dissatisfied with their jobs.
I mean, it's not a corporate structure though. You work for the king, right?
I guess.
Yeah. It's penalty of death if you don't do your job.
Yeah, it's government work, 100% employment.
Yep.
You know, I mean, that's the problem with government work is that they're just wasting money. Obviously, they're just wasting money. They don't know how to fire people. They put people to jobs It's just this bureaucracy of just wasting money on this like crazy half-assed plan of how somehow we're gonna steal the Silver Surfer's powers and then we're gonna take over the world. Like this is a crazy despot with crazy ideas for how he's gonna take over.
It really is. It really is. It reminds me of anytime I see a cop directing traffic and he's just doing exactly what the light's doing, no different. You know, like that bothers me. I'm glad you mentioned Silver Surfer. I don't know if I've talked about this on the show, but last year I took a trip to Iceland for a wedding, and in their airport there is a giant mural of Silver Sable. And I couldn't understand why. I looked it up, and it's like, oh, she's like vaguely European and maybe from Iceland, and that's why.
Really?
But it's a thing. Yeah, it's like a thing that exists. I don't think I ever found like a very firm answer on why, but it's the weirdest thing. I was really researching this for a while.
That's so weird. She was recently in Dan Slott's Spider-Man.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize she was.
And they actually went to that country, Samarkand. I don't even know how to.
Samkaria.
Yeah.
I feel like we talked about it.
I thought it was like Siberia, but like I thought that's where it was located. But I guess it's Iceland, so that's interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So
Sony was talking about making a movie with her and some other side characters.
Silver and
Venom
Black.
movie.
It was going to and Black.
Yeah, Black Cat.
Her and Black Cat. Everybody's favorite nurse.
If that Venom movie makes $1 gazillion, then maybe that'll be coming.
They had all those bullshit plans after Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, we're going to make a Venom movie, and we're going to do this, and we're going to have a Silver Sable, and we're going to have a Sinister Six movie with no Spider-Man in it. And they just moved all that shit to the Tom Holland Spider-Man verse.
Yeah, that'd be like I don't know. God, terrible. All right, whatever. All right. So let's keep going with the story here. How Fantastic Four, almost forgetting about them. Actually, no, we're not going to talk about them because we're going to still talk about Silver Surfer.
Dr. Doom.
And
he gets this invitation from Dr. Doom, and these are just like, yeah, sure, I'll go to this guy's house. Why not?
I love it though. He's like, I am intrigued. Never before have I stood in the presence of earthly royalty. Intrigued and royalty are both bolded. Like I'm like, ooh, I've never met a king. This sounds like fun. I'm going to go.
And so, like, first, like, this whole thing has two parts to it. First, Silver Surfer explains all his powers to Dr. Doom. Why? Because Dr. Doom asked, and Silver Surfer's like, yeah, sure, why not? Let me show you all this shit. Let me make you this weapon that looks like it's not that much, like a gear on a stick. But if you tap the wall, it'll fucking explode. I can do that, and I'm going to make it disappear just like that, because I can.
But I even love how the narration is like, okay, guys, we all realize Silver Surfer is dumb. Like, we can all see where this is going, right? Like, this is not good. Like, Silver Surfer is dumb. Dr. Doom is obviously trying to trick him. Silver Surfer can't.
Well, and then the Dr. Doom tricking him is hilarious because he's trying to, like, convince him that he's a genuinely good, benevolent leader, while his crew is just like, they accidentally stepping on his cape, and they're like, "Oh God, no! Not don't hurt me like you did last time," and shit like that. I forget what he talks about, but it's just so funny watching him bumbling around pretending to be good when he's so obviously evil. God, Silver Surfer is dumb.
I love it too because he starts yelling at the guy, and then he sees Silver Surfer like behind his shoulder, like.
I mean, good job, employee.
Yeah, he says an accident can happen to anyone. I'm relieved that you did not injure yourself. The guy's like, are you really not going to murder me right here? He's like, murder you? Of course not.
This would be a great cartoon, I think. It'd be fantastic.
This has, like, I was trying to think about, like, it has the feeling of like an Adventure Time or like a Steven Universe. Not exactly, but that kind of like fun energy, but like serious lore, but then, you know, like winking to the camera. It's just it's weird. I was not expecting this, and I'm very much enjoying it.
So finally, Dr. Doom is kind of like he distracts Silver Surfer with some freaking shinies. It's like a picture of science from outer space, just like random stars
outer
and
space.
shit. And Silver Surfer, the face that they drew on him for this, where he just looks like a big grinning alien, where he's loving this outer space. He's like, oh my God, it reminds me, oh, what a glorious sight. And Dr. Doom slaps this device over his head and steals his undefined cosmic powers. Whoa. Good job, Doctor Doom. You did
Power
it.
cosmic, right? Is that what it's
Yep.
called?
I'm sure, but I mean, like, not very specifically defined as to like how they exist. But this device managed to kind of steal them. So good for Doctor Doom. It's a little fantastical, and I'm okay with that.
Chris, I think in one of our past episodes, maybe even last episode, you said that Doctor Doom's thing is stealing powers, which I never realized. But I've been reading a lot of comics and since our last episode, and you're totally right. I think I texted you a picture of Doom, the Living Planet, which was an alternate universe story where he decided he stole Ego, the Living Planet's powers, and became a planet. And I'm like,
It doesn't even seem possible.
it was fucking awesome. It was awesome.
That's just the living planet's biology. It's not even.
No, it had Doom's face on it. It was awesome.
Okay,
and
I
then
see.
and then in another story, he killed the Hood and took his red hood.
Oh my god.
So
Good. I hate the Hood.
So Doom had all of the Hood's powers. And I'm like, this is great. You're right, Chris. You're totally right. Doctor Doom's thing is stealing powers. I love it.
That's awesome.
And this is his first big power theft. This is where he gets a taste for it, and it's like, this is what I do now. This is my favorite.
I mean, it makes sense. He honestly would have won. He makes a lot of mistakes throughout these next few issues here. That issue's done. He's basically ultimately powerful now, and next issue starts with.
Whoa! Let's not wait. We got some good stuff here still.
What is it? What? Okay, go ahead.
We
go
got
ahead.
the Thing still looking for Sandman, and he's mad at Reed because he wanted to be home watching the Mets, but instead he's flying around on a little like flying motorcycle, and he's like, "Why do I got to be doing this, Reed?" And he's like, "Just keep looking, man." And I'm like, "Fuck you, Reed. Fuck you."
Yeah, they pretty much spend the rest of the issue just like wandering around looking for Sandman. It's not very exciting. Fantastic Four wise. Did they catch him in this, or is that the next issue?
No, he gets away. They do have a little fight in the Fantastic Four Baxter Building area. I also like at the end of the issue, we cut to outside of Latveria, and there's just like red glowing lights around the castle, and everyone's like, "Ooh, there's some kind of evil afoot." And then Doctor Doom just skates by on his surfboard.
He's just like shooting lasers and fire and everything. He looks great. He looks like a laser show.
It's so rad. He's just like having fun, just like surfing by.
I would watch a Doctor Doom steals everyone's powers laser show. I think that'd be fun.
Oh, that would be cool. But I'm just like this issue was like jam packed,
delightful.
Like
Very
we
delightful.
had a Sandman and Wizard prison fight. We had Silver Surfer and Doctor Doom having a funny scene, and then the powers being stolen. They had another Sandman fight. The Inhumans were there, and then Doom on a surfboard. I got my 12 cents worth. This was 12 cents. 12 cents.
Listen, this is when, in the past, when money was different. So, listen, I don't have an analogy. I wasn't alive back then.
I still
to tell you how
don't
much
think I
nickel
would
cost.
complain about my $3.99's worth. You know, I'd be like, this is worth $3.99. Other
That's
shit,
true.
no.
Yeah.
This.
14-year-old George R.R. Martin is like, you guys have really lost it.
Yeah. So the next
You won't
issue
get my 12
begins-
cents next month.
The next issue begins with an electrical storm where the image of Doom's face has appeared on the Baxter Building, and it's like, oh, look out, watch what's going on. And Sue sees Dr. Doom's image there, and that's just sort of like that beginning first splash page teaser thing, and that's kind of like that disappears. And Reed's like, "What's going on?" And so they decide to go on vacation. I don't
And they're
understand.
like, well, that was fucking weird. Okay, well,
yeah.
we're going on vacation.
Yeah, Ben, you're in charge. We don't know where Johnny is. We don't care. Just let us know if there's an issue, like if Dr. Doom attacks or something.
So Ben is just like chilling, reading his ghost stories at night, and he's like, ghosts can't be real, or else Stretcho would have found them by now. So that's cool.
Yeah. But I love his rationale for trying not to get scared. And yeah, it's great. I forgot about those ghost stories. They're adorable.
And then Reed says okay, I'm gonna peace out for the weekend, and literally the next panel, Doom attacks.
Yeah, it's instant. Oh my god, it is instant. And Thing, of course, gets beaten up because he doesn't have the power cosmic.
He also, did he hurt Dr. Doom's hands like last time they fought? Is that
Yes.
Maybe, because the hands come back later as well.
Yes, that was when Dr. Doom possessed Daredevil's body to break into the Baxter Building.
I love it.
Then
He stole Daredevil's powers?
Yeah, he stole his body,
Oh my
so
God,
his
this
powers
guy.
are included. But yeah, then when he got switched back, Ben broke his hand, so he's mad at him.
Ooh, all right. Well, he gets
But
defeated pretty handily. Go ahead.
yeah, it is fun to just see Doctor Doom just like wipe the floor with the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like normally he's like you're like I won't sully myself with fighting you, and it's like yeah, because he's gonna beat you up.
Here's where I want to kind of talk about Doom's mistakes here. He freezes Ben in place, and he says, "All right, I'm gonna come back and finish you off later." Earlier in the issue, before he even left Latveria, we saw him do the same thing with the Silver Surfer. Had him locked up, and he said, "All right, look, I'm gonna go take care of Fantastic Four first. Then I'm gonna come back here and I'm gonna kill you." So, I know it's a bit of a trope. But man, I really wanted him to have a better reason than just I'm gonna do it later.
Well, he also says you're not important enough for me to destroy.
But
Right. Well, and
but
that's
he is.
later.
I know that's
I don't
later, but I mean that's Doom's thing, I guess.
Yeah, he really doesn't want to kill anybody. He just wants them to see him win. I think that's it. Okay, so at this point, Human Torch comes back, sees Ben frozen in place, sends Wyatt to get some gizmo from Reed's lab that'll fix Ben, and he goes after Doctor Doom. And the weird thing that I wrote down here is they kept talking about. He's like, I'll hit you with my supernova blast. Human Torch says this, and I've never heard of the supernova blast before. But and Doctor Doom says, "Listen, Human Torch, I know all about your supernova blast. You won't use that because it's going to destroy everybody on this hemisphere." And I'm like, what? So how does this thing even exist? How has Human Torch tested it? Is this just some shit he made up? And then Human Torch says, damn, he knows all about my supernova blast. And I'm wondering where this, what? How is Johnny trained to use the supernova blast if it will kill everybody and he's never used it?
He has used it. I can't tell you the specific issue, but it is a Silver Age Fantastic Four trope of it's basically the same thing they do later where they're like, actually Sue is the most powerful member of the team. At this point they're at this point they're like Johnny is actually the most powerful member of the team, but he doesn't know it, and so he cuts loose. I forget which storyline it is, but then he has this big blast that can kind of blow up a big area, and they draw it as white so that they don't have to draw fire effects.
All right, so it's super powerful. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, so that makes sense. I'm less upset about that now. That maybe it did go off and it was averted. All right. The next, are we done with issue 58?
There was just one more point that I love the editor notes in this book. They're really fun for me. But there's one part where Stan calls out that he goes, remember last issue that Lockjaw, Human Torch, and Wyatt Wingfoot were about to be destroyed by some Kirby-esque carnivores. And I'm like, that's really weird that they're using the word Kirby-esque in the book itself. The myth of Jack Kirby is being fostered in Fantastic Four, not outside nerds just writing fanzines. The word Kirby-esque is in this book. That's crazy to me. It's really cool, but it's they did not give a fuck. And I love it. I love it.
Really did.
Yeah, and we should mention. I mean, it's just mostly fighting stuff, so we've glossed over it. But Jack Kirby is so good at laying out a fight that moves forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it
never feels boring.
Yeah, there's not just well, I'm gonna punch him again and see how that goes. It's somebody does something once and then they immediately move on. And so Reed, I'm just looking at one page here, and he's Doom has tied him up to this metal stuff, and then he stretches and punches Doom. And then he becomes a plastic man, a circle thing, and rolls away from him. And it's just stuff is going on all the time. You're never just sitting there punching each other.
Mm-hmm. The next issue does slow down with the main plot a little bit and does focus a little bit more on the Inhumans. And for everybody else, it's kind of a bit of a planning issue. Reed kind of talks to the government.
Yeah, he talks to the UN about this, which
yeah,
I actually don't remember seeing that often in a superhero comic where the superheroes directly petition the government. This hasn't really happened in the MCU. It's crazy. I really liked this book, by the way, but I feel the stakes are really high in this book for something that I know obviously is going to have no impact because there's 60 more years.
But it is like, this is essentially the strongest villain they've ever faced.
This is the strongest villain.
The biggest power, yeah.
At this point, because they're only 5 years into this book, and they're like, we are fucked. The whole world is fucked. Like, UN, like, just stay put. We're going to try to fix it, but if we can't, you really got to be ready, because this is going to go bad.
Well, not only does that sell it to us as the reader, but it is kind of realistic. Like, Reed is only in the business of a lot of the superhero stuff to kind of protect a lot of, the shit that's going wrong. And so it's like, oh, I have to notify everybody because most people don't know Doctor Doom, and we do, and we're kind of seeing, we gotta get this shit a lot.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that scene in Black Panther where it's like, what do you guys have to teach the UN? Where it's like, they're like, Latveria, who cares about those guys? Like, have you not noticed this guy's named Doctor Doom? And he just stole the powers of the Silver Surfer, who is basically like some sort of new god.
I can't wait for like Marvel to get the rights back to Doctor Doom for the cinematic universe and retcon in Doctor Doom sitting at that meeting for the UN. That's gonna be great. I know that's gonna happen. I predict it.
That would be cool.
So all right, let's get on to the Inhuman stuff. And there's like some really great art here with some weird characters and stuff. They bust out of the negative zone. We also end up with, where does Doctor Doom go? There's like a gorilla and a bunch of weird shit. Like, he's just kind of fucking shit up everywhere.
He's like freezing like the Aegean Islands, which is like a tropical island. He's like, haha, fuck you guys, snow.
Yeah, it's like, I'm gonna zap this gorilla and make him mad.
And then he just surfs off.
That's pretty much it. He's like, haha, look what I can do. I'm in charge.
Yeah, and he does put like a 24-hour timer on this stuff. It is funny, like, knowing how Stan and Jack work in the future. Of like, Jack is basically like plotting all of this stuff, and Stanley's scripting over it. It's like the plotting is stronger than the scripting of the like. I'm gonna make this the new normal I'm gonna make everything cold for 24 hours. I'm gonna do this just because. It's just like you can kind of tell sometimes that Stanley is like doesn't really know where the story's going.
Yeah, he's not sure.
I love it because they're like, it's like, how do we get a ship? How do we get a new ship all of a sudden? Black Panther gave it to us. Cool. All right, destroyed. All right,
yeah. Johnny's driving a nice car. Where'd that come from? I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's like apparently Wyatt's really rich, and that's why. Yep, that's it.
I guess Jack just wanted to draw a Ferrari. God damn it! Like.
That might have been my favorite panel in the whole thing. Like, yeah, I guess he just wanted to draw a fucking nice car. Jesus, hell if I know where he got it.
That's literally what the caption says.
Yeah, it's great. It's worth looking up. Maybe that I think it's got too much text to be our main image for this episode, but it's quite nice. I do feel like there's just so many great shots of Doctor Doom surfing around on a surfboard. Yeah, I think that might be one of the. It's just
page
so
3. Page 3 of issue 60 is mine, where he's flying towards the camera on this. On the
there's one particular of him like standing on a mountain and just kind of holding his surfboard next to him, and I think that's like an epic shot of Doctor Doom ready to hit some waves.
Yeah, that's also issue 60.
Yeah, that's got some good ones. But let's get to issue 60. I don't remember if it's the end of 59 or beginning of 60 or what, but Reed.
The Russians attack. The Russians attack also.
When did that happen?
In issue 59, the Russians are like, we'll make the Americans look stupid if we beat Doctor Doom first. And
they attacked Doctor Doom. Yeah.
It doesn't really deliver, but I love that the Russians are like, fuck yeah, we're going to do this. This will be fun.
Reed contacts the American government and says, hey, can you make me like a prototype or something? It's going to help us win. And Thing just is like, no, we got to go. We got to take the fight to him. And he's acting like a real hothead. And Reed says, no, we got to wait. And so there's a lot more of that sort of relationship, that banter between them. Like, hey, when'd you get so like weak? Come on, let's go after him, that kind of thing.
Yeah, he threw a batarang also at Thing.
He threw a batarang?
It looks like a batarang on pages 15 and 16.
Is that something... They do talk a little bit about getting some stuff from Wakanda, from the Black Panther, And later, he shows up on a TV screen. It doesn't really look like the Black Panther as we kind of know him today. It does almost look a little bit more like Batman. So there is something going on. Then Wyatt Wingfoot shows up and says, "Whoa, hey guys, Johnny's going to attack Dr. Doom on his own." And everybody's worried, so they're like, "Okay, we got to go get Johnny now. We got to like rush ahead of the plan." And we get kind of like I saw this scene as being like the final level of a video game where you're trying to get to that final boss, and it's just like all the crazy shit that they could come up with. There's like rivers of fire, and everybody's fighting everything. And there's when the Thing fights Dr. Doom, he makes his fists big. Like that's his imagination here. Like I'm just gonna make my hands big. It's great.
It rules.
Yeah, there's so many great little bits here. Oh, and the Watcher is watching from outer space. Like, oh my god, everything's going crazy. But no, I've been interfering too much. I'm not allowed to interfere. I think this is maybe the only time we've seen the Watcher where he successfully does not interfere.
He has to force himself to see something else. He's like, there's this other culture that's like just life is being born on this planet. That'll distract me from going to see what's on Earth.
Cold turkey. He needs a little biology patch. Like
must find something interesting.
Yeah. That'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody's like discovering fire, and he's like, "Whoa, this is much better than Doctor Doom."
Oh man! And then we never see him again. I thought he was maybe gonna come back and be like, "Nah, that shit was boring. I'm gonna save the day." But no, he's like out of it. That was great. I really like that. We also get like some parachuting down, like some typical kind of Reed Sue thing. Back and forth with Doctor Doom.
Yeah, I did think that was really cool of the design of Reed, like making himself a parachute in the flames that Dr. Doom put all around them.
Yeah.
So he's like, floating away from the fire, because he's inflatable basically. And so he just becomes this, like Zelda-y, whatever you call that thing from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, it's a Deku leaf is what it's called in Wind Waker.
It's a kite.
Yeah. But yeah, or like Elastigirl in Incredibles.
Mm-hmm. Where did the Stanley steal that one?
Yeah, I think The Incredibles might be the best Fantastic Four movie.
I don't know. Guys, sneaky trick, by the way. I didn't tell you all this, but this is our last episode before Incredibles 2. Whoa, tie-in.
Tie-in. Yeah. There's also I want to mention throughout these fights a really great breaking the fourth wall moment where Doctor Doom like sends two giant rocks smashing towards Ben, and when they explode, there is a little caption that says, I'm going to read it here: "Do-it-yourself department. We figure any true believer can write his own sound effect for what follows. Don't let us down here. Trusting Stan." So like they just couldn't think of the right sound effects, so they said, "You guys figure it out."
I love it. I love all of that. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I also love that Dr. Doom decides to turn himself into like Emma Frost powers. Like probably a good time before she shows up. He's like, "I am a diamond. You can't touch me."
He does some good stuff. I'd say his creativity is better than I thought it was going to be. He does some stuff that's not just explosions and fire.
He has big hands. Yeah.
Big hands. Yep. And a lot of whoosh. He really just whooshes around more than anything. I think he just likes that surfboard. That is the best power that the Silver Surfer has. A surfboard.
I love how expressive his face is. Like it's really weird because it's like a steel mask, but when he's like happy, you're like, what the hell is going on? Yeah,
those eyes. They're so like, and there's a panel in particular where he is just kind of like mad and like talking about, I'm going to take over the world. And his eyes just look, it's the way they're angled. They just look like, he looks dead inside. It's very expressive eyes. So the way this whole thing gets resolved is when Reed's little device from the government comes back. It just randomly flies in. It's this big winged anti-cosmic device that is meant to take away the cosmic powers.
Well, no, it's like it is able to basically fly in near Earth orbit.
Right.
So once it goes through, like the ozone and everything, Dr. Doom's like, well, I'm going to chase this thing.
Right. There we go. Yeah. So Dr. Doom's going to chase it away. Why does he chase it though if it's taking away his powers? Sorry, explain this to me. I was a little confused by this thing.
It's not taking away his powers. It's just he's just like, well, I'm going to destroy this to show my contempt for you.
Oh,
and
okay.
and so Reed's like, oh no, don't destroy that thing. That's what we've pinned all our hopes to. And he's like, haha, now I've got you. I'm going to follow it and blow it up. And then he follows it, I guess out of the atmosphere, and then Galactus.
Oh, and then, remember what happened with Silver Surfer? The powers can't be used anywhere but Earth. Oh shit! And so Doctor Doom loses his powers.
Yeah, Galactus activates his cosmic shock collar.
That happened so fast because it's literally like the second to last page, and then it's over. And I was like, wait, I kind of missed it. I was like, what? We won? Because we never really see Doctor Doom get beaten. He just flies away. And they're like, what happened? And they're like, oh, we won. It's cool. I'm like, oh, all right, great. What happened to Doctor Doom? I don't know. I don't care. See the surfboard. It's like flying back to the surfer now. Everything's good.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was this issue or the next issue where they're like, should we go look for Doom? And Reed's like, no.
Just kind of ends. So that whole device, I guess I didn't realize that. I thought because Doom says something like my strength is beginning to ebb or something like that. My knee's growing weak. So I really thought I couldn't figure out what it was, but I guess all right, cool.
Yeah, it does weaken him temporarily, but it's just a decoy to make him fly away.
Okay, cool. Well, good job, Reed. You did it. You saved the day. I'm very proud of you. Cool. Anything else? I feel it just kind of ended, and I was like, "Oh, it's over."
Yeah, it is kind of an anticlimactic way to end. And I did read the next issue, which is about bringing back the Sandman, because that loose end of like the Sandman's just on the loose. The next issue is about fighting that guy.
Vince, you got anything else to say here? Or you haven't talked in a little bit.
I not really particularly about this issue, but I just liked the whole feel of it. Like I really did. Like, I went and read some more Fantastic Four just to kind of like, because this didn't feel like Fantastic Four to me at all. And I think part of it is because Reed is not like everybody's superhero dad, which is what he's kind of turned into. Like he's like the expert and he has to solve everything, which is fine. But he's always like the scientist that's like lost in his own world, and Sue's like, oh my gosh, why are you gonna be working in your lab? And this book is like, well, one, they're not really like all four together, like really ever. Like Johnny's off doing his own thing.
Yeah.
But it's more Ben and Reed's relationship, which I'm not used to. And then I'm not used to like just the energy. Like it felt like, and I talked about this earlier, the stakes felt really high for a book that I don't know why. It felt, probably because it's just like young, and so like they don't have like everything like codified, and nothing feels necessarily like it's safe. Like they can do things with the book in a way that you can't do with the Fantastic Four now.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Like it just felt like it was like full of life and energy in a way that I wasn't expecting from this book. I really enjoyed it.
I think what is part of the enjoyment as well is that I know you talked about the Ben-Reed relationship, but I think Ben is really pushing the entire book forward. Like most of the narration and like what's going on and how are we feeling about it all comes from Ben, because he's the silly one, and it is also like, yeah, let's just get to the fights. Oh no, but we got to worry about this, and it's like I think Ben is really our window into this world.
That's interesting, yeah, because I know that at this time, like the Thing was like Marvel's like number 2 guy behind Spider-Man. Like he had
he's like he's the mascot.
He had his own solo-ish book at this time.
He just teams up with someone at
well, it wasn't at this time, but a little later.
Yeah, a little later. But I remember on all the, not in this particular issue, but in all the Merry Marvel Marching Society, their little fan club thing, it would always be the Thing's face saying, hey, join now.
Yeah, and you would never center like any type of thing around the Thing. Like today, like the Thing is like Marvel's like number 2 thing behind. It's Spider-Man and then the Thing. You feel like, fuck you, that's not right. That never happened.
I mean, even originally, Johnny was, that was the one that was sort of pitched. Like he had his own spin-off book in the 60s that was terrible. But
he was like in Strange Tales, right? It was like Doctor Strange and Johnny Storm, like 2-in-1 kind of things. Right. It was really, really, really weird.
because it was like, well, he's like the young character, like he's the Teen Titans-y type sidekick age character. So the kids will like this guy. But yeah, Ben became this like breakout kind of star of the book, and I agree. He's really all the characters feel a lot fresher. Reed, I mean, he's like he needs Ben to just about challenge him to a fist fight to be like, maybe I can beat Doctor Doom. So it's very silly, but I appreciate it. It's not the like Stephen Colbert or Reed Richards that we're kind of used to after like the 90s of the.
He'd be a good Reed Richards.
He was in Venture Brothers.
Yeah, he was Venture
Mr.
Brothers.
Impossible.
He's done. I feel like he's done that impression multiple times. Maybe I'm just thinking of like the ambiguously gay duo or something. But he's done the like Mr. Fantastic voice of just like the smug genius guy.
He'd be good. He's really good at that. So I think we're just about done with.
What'd you think, Kia?
Oh, I really liked it. I hope I made that clear throughout the whole thing. It was very enjoyable. I have actually been like, I don't get around to it very often, but every once in a while I kind of continue reading the Marvel Universe from the very beginning and like everything they've put out. And I've, over the course of the last few years, I've gotten through, I guess, a few years worth of Marvel comics. I've slowed down a little bit recently, but I have been reading Fantastic Four up until this point, and so doing it for this episode, I was like, oh, I just kind of get to continue reading it. And yeah, it has been a real joy to read stuff from this era and just watch them doing so much inventing. Is a lot of fun. Like Stan Lee and Jack Kirby doing all this inventing. It's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, just in a year, you get Galactus, Silver Surfer, Black Panther, Adam Warlock, and then this storyline. Like, that's a pretty crazy year.
It's a really wonderful era. Like, you can really tell. There was a point in the middle. I think that's why I was kind of slowing down, where everything did start to feel a little bit recycled, like they were running out of stories. And I think they got, like, kind of hit with a new surge of creativity here, which is really cool. But speaking of turning it around with a surge of creativity, should we switch on over to our continuing part of the show where we talk about Crisis on Infinite Earths? We'll get back to some more Fantastic Four stuff later when we talk about what's coming up next issue. But yeah, you guys ready for some Crisis?
Sure.
Let's do it. Oh, okay. So I know we weren't too down on too big on the first two issues, but I did really like this third one a lot more. It really turned things around for me. I don't know if you guys sound as excited, but I really found myself kind of finding things to latch onto in this issue. We start with a kind of a cool little scene where the Monitor has, I guess, kidnapped the son of Lex Luthor and Lois Lane from Earth 3. In one of the first issues, we saw them kind of send him away. And so I'm like, okay, this is interesting. For whatever reason, this kid has survived, passed through whatever barriers, and it might be something important.
Very much passed on like Kal-El, like Superman.
Yeah,
his dying universe, and he's passed into this universe. But now he's like 5 or 6 years old.
He's rapidly aging. Right. So we know that, but we don't know exactly what's going to be, important about him. We've got Monitor's like henchwoman. I don't really know what to call her. Harbinger.
His kind of adopted daughter.
Yeah,
and she's going to betray him.
Yeah, because she's been taken over or something. We go see her talk to a dude in the shadows. It's great.
And Psycho Pirate.
Psycho Pirate, who you love, who has emotion control powers. And they're like, all right, Harbinger, you got to go make sure this baby isn't an issue. We need you to kill some people for us. And this Monitor needs to be out of the picture. We get a big scene at the Empire State Building, where the Teen Titans, like, everything is disappearing, shit's going crazy, right? Is that what it is? Like, the top of the tower.
We have the Flash going through the future.
We'll get to the Flash.
He hits there for a page, and then it's the Outsiders and Teen Titans who team up, and they all show their.
Everybody's in this book.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead though. Outsiders and Teen Titans.
Yeah, and they're saving the day. They're doing stuff with some skyscrapers. They're all showing off their separate powers. Somebody with crystal powers. Is her name Crystal?
Black Lightning is there.
Yeah, somebody makes a crystal slide. It's cool. The art's nice. And
It is. It's a little scene.
And actually, like, to this point, like, you're right. Like, I really do like all of this stuff. And then Batman and Superman show up to say, I don't know, stuff's crazy going down right now. And then
Wonder Girl is about to die, but Supergirl like saves her, and Batman's like, "Hey,
Superman saves her, right?
Man.
Oh, I'm sorry. Superman.
We still haven't seen Supergirl.
I'm sorry. I misspoke. Superman shows up and saves her. Batman's there too, and that's how you're like, oh, this is serious. This is important business.
Right. And this is regular Superman, not Super Dad.
This is all like I think maybe that's why I started to like this more. We're actually hanging out on like regular world that we're used to, watching them go through it, and so I'm like, okay. And then Flash kind of very briefly appears in our world for a second. Batman sees him again, and everyone's like, oh geez, and now he's disappearing, and we get like a pretty messed up art panel where he's like disappearing into nothingness.
It's all stretched out, and Batman goes to touch him, and the worst Teen Titan, Jericho, shoves him away.
It's not Chris Jericho, just Jericho.
Is that the guy with the blonde mutton chops?
Yeah, blonde mutton chops. What does he do? He's just there. There's a lot of people just there, and everyone is shocked.
I don't even remember what his power is. I know he's mute.
It's the walls of Jericho. It's a
his
submission.
His silent scream is unheard. That's right.
His what?
It says mute since childhood. His silent scream is unheard.
Mute?
Yeah. Jericho can't talk.
Okay. What?
And also, I guess he can't see himself in the mirror and be like, "What am I doing with my life?"
So I also want to apologize for how I came off just now. I feel like I was very insulting to mute people based on how I reacted to that. But I have nothing against mute people. Just against this mutton chopped loser who unfortunately is also mute on top of that. This guy's got nothing good going for him. We will never talk about him again on the show. If he ever shows up, I'm going to just stop reading that comic instantly.
He can't even talk in pictographs like that X-Men supporting character Leech and or Artie. I forget which one does it.
Oh, yeah, I vaguely know what you're talking.
Artie's actually going to be in our next episode. Fun fact.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Ooh, all right, we'll get to that. All right, so we also see Brainiac up in outer space being like, this universe is dying. I need to self-preserve. I need to go looking for Luthor. Meanwhile, all these people... So I'd kind of forgotten about them at this point, but I forgot that the Monitor recruited a bunch of people from a bunch of other dying worlds and now has sent them off to protect his towers that he's put up all throughout time. Or something like that. I'm not totally clear on it, but it's at least a little bit easier to follow because everybody has been split up into different timelines. So you've got Blue Beetle and a few other people whose names I don't remember in the past, like the World War II era, with Sergeant Rock and his haunted tank. Or some haunted tank.
Well, yeah, as you say, different characters.
Different character.
The tank is haunted.
I don't know anything about.
There's definitely Robert E. Lee's flag is here.
Yes. I know very little about the haunted tank, other than that I've seen it in memes, and I just forgot it was a real thing.
The haunted tank is the perfect visibility of IP protection at this point, because I think DC has to publish a haunted tank book like every X number of years, just so that nobody else gets the name haunted tank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
it's a good name, good title.
It's a good title. Fuck you. Yeah. Image can't have haunted tank. We're making a haunted tank book. We're sending it out to die. And the Losers are here. Which do you guys remember? The Losers got a goddamn movie with Captain America.
Well, yeah, but I remember the Losers reboot from Vertigo, and
Andy
I think
Diggle,
that's what
right?
the movie was. Yeah, and I feel like I even read the first couple of volumes of that, and it was enjoyable.
It was enjoyable enough. Yeah, Captain America before he was Captain America was in that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, he was in the DC universe originally. Oh my god, that's how the Marvel universe is going to end. The cinematic, they're going to reveal
the Human
that
Torch, and then he was a loser.
Subplot the whole time.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I think it was. God, what was that? Darwin Cook story. New Frontier had the Losers.
Yeah.
Yes. They were.
That's the only reason I know any of these people for 7 pages of this issue. I'm just like,
they're in this a lot. Yeah,
like,
my favorite
this?
moment.
I don't care. And then like even Blue Beetle is like, we didn't come here to fight Nazis, and I'm like, well then why are we here? Why are we here?
They don't give a really firm reason for why they're here because even they don't know, which is a little annoying. But I was still engrossed because like the idea of the haunted tank, Sergeant Rock is really cool. My favorite is there's a line. One of those good guys is dressed like I don't know, some weird ass, and he says, "What's the line?" I wrote it down. Rock ain't gonna let them kill no clown or flower lady. Like he saves a woman at the same time as he's saving a like this costumed superhero, and so in his mind they are on equal footing. They're like civilians, like examples of all sorts of like flowery civilians over here. Get out of the way. I thought that was kind of funny. There's also the Blue Beetle, who I really like. I've talked about it on the show before, but Young Justice, the cartoon series, has like I already liked Blue Beetle, but I like him even more now. Have you watched that yet, Vince? You need to watch that.
No, I still haven't.
Yeah, Vince. All right, aside.
Is that my
Young
homework?
Justice? Yes.
Is it on Netflix?
I don't know where it is. I don't think it is anymore. It used to be. But you know how you wanted Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to be like that bit of the Marvel Universe where they kind of go around and touch a little bit of everything and you get to enjoy it all and then maybe it'll all come together. Mm-hmm. That's what Young Justice is for the DC Universe. Like you get to see everything and they don't just like show it to you. They reboot everything and just be like, this is our version of it. Just deal with it. You don't really have to know anything. Sit back, relax. It might be a little bit different. Get pissed off. We don't care. And it is just fucking perfect. Blue Beetle, their take on him was really fantastic. So I've become a Blue Beetle fan again. That's okay. Aside over. Back to the show.
A monkey dies.
A monkey dies. Who was that guy's name? The caveman
Solomon?
who joined.
Solivar.
He was Command D's friend.
Yes. The monkey's name was Solivar, and the caveman was Kamandi. Is that who?
Yeah, Command D is actually what it was. I forgot. I think his first appearance was in issue 2 for the. You probably never saw him, but he was in like a bunker or some military installation, and the name was Command D. Like that was the location, and that's what he thought his name was.
That his name. Okay, that's pretty cool.
And that's easy to remember how to pronounce his name now.
That's such a Jeff Johns retcon.
Wait, that's a retcon?
I think that's a Jack Kirby from the beginning thing.
Is it? I don't think that's true.
I know
that'll be our homework for next time.
I know it from the Wednesday comics written by Dave Gibbons, our artist of Watchmen, and art by Ryan Sook.
That feels like a 2007 era DC decision.
It fucking does. But no.
All right, we'll decide. We'll figure it out for next time. We'll get a firm answer. I like the Western scene a lot because it had a lot of people that I knew in this one. It's like all the characters that I actually like. Oh, they're gonna say their name clearly. We've got Jonah Hex hanging out in the past, and then who shows up?
I do like Jonah Hex.
Yeah, and then Cyborg shows up. Green Lantern John Stewart shows up. Firebrand shows up, and Simon.
Yeah, Simon.
I don't know Firebrand as well, but she did say her name. She literally said, "My name's Firebrand," and I was like, "Okay, cool, that's clear," and I know who everyone else is. Great.
But also Batlash is there, who I don't know if he's related to Batman at all, but I feel like he should be.
Batlash? Oh, that's right. They just kept calling him Lash. It was a lot of old-timey heroes who I don't really know from that era.
Yeah, he's another cowboy character. I don't know what his deal is.
A lot of cowboy characters.
That Jonah Hex book from Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray was pretty good. Not great, but pretty good.
I don't think I read it.
It led to the movie being created, starring Cable / Thanos.
That'll be fun.
Starring Trinity alumni Patrick Regan.
Yes, it did. Hey, didn't y'all cover that for your podcast, Scrooge? Yes, you did.
We did.
Because Patrick was in it.
Yeah, and we had him. He was a extra in that movie, and he told a story about being an extra and about the Civil War reenactors who showed up with costumes, so they didn't have to make any.
Wow. All right. Well, hey, good plug for your other podcast, Your Stupid Minds, talking about old movies, crappy movies. Was Jonah Hex crappy? Or was it just fun to talk about? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
It's a crappy movie. We do fun, bad movies that we like as well. That one, not so much.
But Michael Fassbender was a villain in it. How can that possibly be bad?
Well, one day we'll read that Jonah Hex thing and we'll talk about that thing some more. I think it'll be fun. What else? What do they actually do in the past, or at any of these timelines? We don't know. Maybe that,
They're trying to defend that tower, but then
defend
the
the
shadows
towers.
attack.
But everything is also still disappearing. Like all the Western characters die, all the World War II characters die, just because they disappear. We're also in the future with the Legion of Superheroes. They're starting to die. Do any of our modern heroes go to the future? Because I kind of assumed that was the pattern, but I don't remember seeing that happen.
I don't think we saw any.
Yeah. And then this issue kind of ends with Harbinger, who is working for that dude in the shadow, show up to monitor his place and say, "All right, Dad, I'm gonna kill you." So, there's still a little bit of a question as to what exactly is going on with all these characters and what the plan is. But things are starting to come together, and I really did like this issue a lot more than those first two. What about you guys? I know, Vince, it seems like you started to agree with me.
I like when it's got the characters I know, and when it has stuff like the military comics, I'm like instantly like checking out. Like Legion is kind of like hit and miss for me. Sometimes I check out, sometimes I don't. But I like the structure of it's like here's every part of the DC universe. And I like that kind of structure. It's just when I don't care about something, I especially don't care about something in this book.
Right.
And then I keep looking back at the foreword, and Marv Wolfman talks about this in the collected edition. He's like, this was kind of hard to sell on newsstands because not many people like to buy first issues of things because they want to wait for it to get going before they commit to it. And so, which is like radically different than today, obviously.
Yeah.
But if I had read the first 3 issues of this on a newsstand, and I don't know, in like 84 or whenever this is happening, and I have no idea where it's going, and I'm a casual newsstand reader, fuck this. I'm done. I'm out. Like, I'm not reading this book. Like, this requires so much, like, awareness of the DC universe or caring about it that I know a lot of these characters. I have no investment at this point. Like,
yeah, this issue also does a really bad job of recapping what has been going on because, like, worlds dying and all these universes kind of going crazy and exploding. It's like, it doesn't really like, I remember it, of course, and it is clear to see it because you remember it. But if you were just jumping in with number 3, yeah, you wouldn't be able to. I don't think there's any way you could pick up a Crisis issue.
I don't think you're gonna pick up these first 3 issues.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I don't think Secret War from 1985 or whenever that was is very good, but it does such a better job of like, here's all your favorite characters. They're all going to team up, and here's the big story arc is there's this guy with superpowers that he's like, I can make your wildest dreams come true. Of course, Dr. Doom's like, I'm going to steal that guy's powers.
Yeah, it is. Did we talk about how closely this and Secret War kind of were?
They're like close. A year apart, and so this is like the big, like, epic scope thing. But it's like, okay, but who are we fighting? Like, we got these shadow guys, but like, who are they? What do they want? And then, like, the Monitor, it's like, I don't really trust him. I don't know what the deal is. I just know that, like, Earths are dying. And you haven't really explained what's going on, and you haven't hooked in. Like I said, the genius of Secret Wars is it's basically like, look, I'm going to take the X-Men, I'm going to take Magneto and Doctor Doom and, like, I don't know, Dr. Octopus, and put them in a room together, and you're going to be like, oh, that's awesome. Like, those guys are going to hate each other.
Yeah, it's like a giant battle royale for no fucking reason, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's not a great comic, but at the same time, you're like, as a fan of it, you're like, well, I like all those guys.
It doesn't, you know what? It is like the Fantastic Four annual that we read with the wedding, but as a big comic book event, pretty much. So maybe, after Crisis is done, maybe we'll go over to Secret Wars, because I think that'll be a fun one to do a long read of.
Right. I just kind of wish, and I feel like the easiest way to do it would be like if the Shadow guy had like a Shadow team of like evil guys, and he has Psycho Pirate and Harbinger or whatever. But if he had like the Joker and like I don't know, like some Superman villain that like Starro or somebody, I'd be like, oh, okay, these are the baddies.
Or at least like shadow versions of them that are like
hits.
Exactly. Like I don't know. All right, we'll get to all the rest of it. But but series still has some work to do, but it's getting there. All right, so let's talk about next time real quick before we go. Hey, Fantastic Four, let's read some more Fantastic Four stuff, but not exactly. Hey, what movie's coming out? It's a new Ant-Man and the Wasp. And so we're gonna read the sort of a cross between Fantastic Four and Ant-Man. We're gonna read FF, which stood for the Future Foundation, which was kind of like a Fantastic Four spin-off thing. We are gonna read FF. The second volume from 2012, issues 4 through 8, which were actually the beginning of 2013. And we're going to do those issues because the first 3 issues of that series were all about the Fantastic Four kind of getting ready to leave. And with FF 4 through 8, Scott Lang takes over. Ant-Man is in charge. So that'll be fun to read. It's written by Matt Fraction, art by Mike Allred, 2 people I really enjoy. So I've been meaning to read these. I've never read them. If you pick it up in trade form, that volume is called Vince. What was that called?
It's called FF Volume 1, Fantastic Faux, like faux fur, not faux like you know.
FAUX.
Yeah.
Not villain, because that would also make sense.
Mm-hmm. It's got Scott Lang, Ant-Man. Is it Darla Daring? Is that her name? She's in the Thing suit, but she's got pink hair.
Yeah, Miss Thing, right?
Yeah, Miss Thing. She-Hulk's in it. It's gonna be good. She-Hulk has a date in one of these episodes.
Ooh, all right, great. She-Hulk going on dates, always fun. So join us for that. We're also going to talk about Crisis number 4. We'll keep that going. Anything else we got to talk about? I think we're done, right?
I think we're done. Chris's podcast, Your Stupid Minds, did an episode about Maid of Honor with Patrick Dempsey from 10 years ago. It's a really good episode. They really nailed it this week.
Yeah, go listen to them.
Thank you.
And I think that's it. Go watch Young Justice after that, because it's great.
Better than Maid of Honor? I don't know.
If you use coupon code Some of My Friends, that really helps us out when you're watching Young Justice. And cool. I think we're done. Thank you for joining us. Vince, thank you.
Au revoir.
Chris, thank you.
No problem. Now, if you'll just hook yourself up into this suspiciously large power giving device.
All right, sure, I'm in. Let's see what happens here. And, oh shit. All right, bye.